Hey there, it's Alex from the Human Sapiens, and thank you for tuning into this episode about severance in real life, that switch in your brain. This is for those who want to forget about that weird meeting and notice that even in their personal time, they are super stressed about work. Just very quickly, if you're listening to this on any podcast platform, this is a read aloud version of my newsletter. So if you'd like to read these articles that I send out 3 times a week, then please go to www.thehumansapiens.substack.com and subscribe to my newsletter. Thank you. And with that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. Again, a question very quickly. Do you know the amazing Apple TV show Severance? If not, I have bad news for you. It's officially bigger than Ted Lasso now, and I know it's one of my favorite shows too, but I'm sure Ted understands. After a 3-year wait between seasons, people are absolutely obsessed with this show about corporate workplace culture. Okay, it's a bit more complicated than that. Let me explain why this show has captured all our collectively exhausted imaginations and what it has to do with your brain and meditation practice. For those who haven't watched the show yet, Severance follows employees at the mysterious Lumon Industries who undergo a procedure that surgically divides their memories between work and personal life. Their mind is basically split into 2 different personas. Their innes, their work selves, have zero recollection of their outside lives, and their outies, their home selves or outside work selves, remember nothing about their workdays. Critics are calling it the perfect metaphor for our desperate attempts at compartmentalization. It does an incredible job of capturing the drudgery of corporate life while exploring what happens when we try to completely separate our work and personal selves. And come on, let's be honest. How many times have you fantasized about this exact scenario? I certainly walked out of a tense meeting and wished I could just delete the memory forever, or experienced Sunday night anxiety and tried to temporarily erase all memory of my job until 8:59 a.m. next day. And I also entertained some post-work rumination and judged myself for still thinking about that passive-aggressive email, the one that has hope that helps at the end, but it doesn't help with anything actually. And we've gotten really good at pretending we can switch between our work and personal selves with the tap of a screen or the closing of a laptop. Bad news is, our brains didn't get that memo. But don't worry, your brain is actually very anti-severance. You know the 2 golden commandments of corporate life. 1, don't bring work drama home. And 2, leave your personal baggage at the office door. This sounds reasonable enough, right? Like separating your whites and colors on laundry day. But here's the plot twist that both Severance and actual brain science reveal. Trying to completely separate our work and personal selves isn't just impossible. It's about as healthy as a diet consisting exclusively of White Monster energy drinks and those weird gas station sandwiches. Our brains simply weren't designed for this kind of compartmentalization. They are more like those toddlers who insist on mixing all their foods together on the plate. Messy, but authentic. In the show, the severed employees gradually realize their separation is causing more problems than it solves. Their fractured consciousness leads to confusion, existential dread, and well, I won't spoil the rest. Your brain similarly rebels against your attempts to pretend that work you and home you are 2 different people. Do you have those unexplained headaches too? That can be your outie experiencing the stress your innie never processed. What about that random burst of irritation at your partner? Those can be probably from the emotional residue from a work interaction you tried to leave at the office. Or the scattered focus during family time can be because your brain is still processing the 47 unfinished thought loops from your workday. We've definitely become experts at numbing ourselves. Lost in our phones, buried in work and trying desperately not to feel certain things. And Severance brilliantly reflects this shared experience back to us. So if severing our consciousness isn't the answer, and honestly, brain surgery seems a bit extreme anyway, what's the alternative? What if instead of building a wall between your work and personal selves, you build a bridge? And that's where meditation comes in, but not in the way you might think. When you think about meditation, please forget that image of some monk-like figure achieving total emptiness of mind. That's about as realistic as the severance procedure itself, for us everyday people at least. Real meditation is more like being the supervisor who helps your innie and outie communicate effectively. It's less about transcending and more about connecting. So here's what a brief post-work meditation practice can do. It can create a conscious transition. Instead of pretending you can flip a switch between work you and home you, meditation acknowledges that transition needs attention. Meditation can also help you process what happened at work, like those conversations you keep replaying in your head after work. Meditation gives them space to be noticed and gently released, rather than following you around like a clingy coworker who for some reason thinks your work besties. Then third, it can help you reset your physical stress response. Your body often stays in fight or flight mode long after the threat, a deadline, difficult meeting, or that Toby guy from HR has passed. Meditation signals that the danger is over. And lastly, it can help you integrate the useful and release the toxic. Unlike complete severance, meditation helps you retain valuable insights from your workday without carrying home all the emotional baggage. And as psychology tells us, and the characters in Severance discover, consciousness wants to be whole. Your brain is already working overtime trying to integrate your experience. Meditation just helps it do that job more effectively. As you know, I put a meditation or mindfulness practice exercise in all of my newsletters. So here's a quick 5-minute severance meditation that will help you process what happened at work more effectively. And disclaimer, no chips implanted in your brain are required for this. You can just do it as you are. First, please find your transition spot. This could be your car before driving home, a bench outside your building, or even your bathroom at home before engaging with family. No judgment here, bathrooms are sometimes the only quiet spots we can find. After you settled in, let's take 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And make the exhales longer than the inhales. This breathing technique equals hitting that calm down Karen button on your nervous system. So let's do it together. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Now, please don't be weirded out by this, but I will ask you to greet your work self. Say to yourself, okay, work me, what are you still carrying with you from work? Allow any thoughts or feelings about your workday to surface without trying to solve them. I promise this little visualization isn't weird, and that comes from a guy who pretended to be Anakin Skywalker with sticks in his whole childhood. Now, note these thoughts without judgment. As thoughts come up like, I should have said something different in that meeting, or I'm still mad about that email, just notice them. You don't have to do anything with them, just know that they are there. You don't have to solve them. It's for next day or, next work day. Now visualize a handoff between your work self and home self. Imagine your work self respectfully transferring consciousness to your home self like the world's most peaceful shift change. And let's think something like, thanks for your hard work today, home me is taking over now. Again, totally not weird, don't worry. Now continue breathing naturally until this exercise lasts. Before we finish, set an intention for the rest of the day. Something like, I'm moving into my personal time now where I choose to be present for what matters. This helps you actually close down any thoughts and focus on your personal life subconsciously. Now take one more breath and open your eyes while you exhale. Remember, unlike the severed employees at Lumon, we are not trying to forget or disconnect here. You're creating conscious integration. And that's what the characters on the show are desperately trying to achieve despite the procedure that keeps them apart. And this is how you do severance without the side effects. The most mind-blowing benefit of this practice isn't just feeling better in that specific moment. It's that over time, you develop a third perspective, an observer who knows both your work self and your personal self like the back of their hand and can help them communicate better. This integrated consciousness is what makes us fully human. It's what the innies on Severance are fighting for, the right to know their whole selves. And the irony is, we voluntarily sever ourselves all the time through mindless strolling to numb work thoughts, using alcohol or other substances to turn off our day, creating rigid boundaries that don't allow for processing, and pretending we can compartmentalize when our brains aren't actually wired that way. Meditation offers a different path, a path where we can acknowledge all parts of ourselves while not being controlled by any single part. And there's something deeply familiar about watching these characters try to piece themselves together. Maybe it's because we are all seeking the same thing, which is wholeness. We all need that connection between all our fragmented parts in this endlessly distracted world, even if we are still yet to realize it. So that's it for this episode. Before you go, I would like to ask you, how do you currently transition between work and personal life? Do you have a ritual, or do you tend to carry work stress home with you in a big emotional tote bag? And if you watch Severance, does the show's premise hit a little too close to home? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please send them in a comment. Also, if you love this post, please like it and share it with your friends and loved ones. And until next time, just remember that unlike the employees at Lumon, you already have that technology to integrate your full experience. It's built right into your amazing human brain. Stay mindful and humane and unsevered. Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you take some useful things away from this. This was Alex from the Human Sapiens. I wish you a beautiful day and a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.